Hey guys! Welcome back to ShesDiabetic. My name is Andrea. For those of you who are new here, I am a type 1 diabetic. I've been type 1 for over 17 years, and this is just a channel all about that, about type 1 diabetes lifestyle and hacks and body confidence, living your best life, this type of thing. Or trying. Thank you so much for choosing to spend the next few minutes with me. Let's settle in and get comfortable because we're going to talk holiday. Yes, as you can see, there's a tree here. I'm wearing red. It can mean only one thing. The holiday season is upon us. Now, I don't know how it got here so quickly, but I'm not complaining because it's my favorite time of year. One might say the most wonderful time of year. I love seeing family, the Christmas spirit, the warm cups of tea and coffee and hot chocolate, delicious foods and all sorts. But with this indulgence, with these holiday delights, this can pose a bit of a challenge for us without an insulin-producing pancreas. And as I'm planning my trip home to see my folks and other various holiday activities, I started thinking and making a note in my phone about ways I was going to try to best manage my diabetes during these times of holiday travel, routine upheaval, and food upheaval. So I thought this is actually something I should share with you guys and shouldn't just keep it in my phone. So here we are. These are going to be 5 tips for surviving the holiday season as a type 1 diabetic. Tip number 1 is to walk or move after a meal. This is a tip that was somewhat born out of my Thanksgiving vlog, which if you guys haven't seen it, I'll link it somewhere up yonder. Something that happens a lot during the holidays is we sit at a table and we share a meal together, and this meal can go on for a while. People like to linger, have a coffee, a chat, maybe around the table with people you haven't seen for ages and ages. And oftentimes this follows a rather indulgent meal. Maybe it's heavier than your normal meal because it's a holiday meal. So something I discovered over Thanksgiving and something that I'm going to try to employ more over Christmas is that thing of getting up and moving after the meal. Moving after you've eaten helps aid in digestion. It also helps for those of us taking insulin to get the insulin moving in our body. It's incredibly magical. I experienced it personally over Thanksgiving. I ate a big meal. I sat around the table for like hours. I had this stubborn blood sugar that just wasn't coming down. And then I started moving, got up, played some games, got some drinks, did some dishes, walked around. And that stubborn sort of mid-high just came sliding on down. I actually got low. So for me, this is a great idea. If you're having some stubborn post-meal blood sugars, get up, walk around, go see holiday lights in the neighborhood, play some games that are more on your feet, like a Pictionary or something like that. You don't have to go and run a marathon for this to be effective. Truly, just 20 minutes, 10 minutes of walking around and moving will be magical when it comes to eating those big meals and maybe taking those larger than normal boluses that you're not used to taking. Tip number 2 is to hydrate. Oh man, this is in my phone, it's in my reminders, tapping on the Apple Watch, telling me to drink water. I'm terrible at it. So this is why this one made it onto my list. But I thought it's especially applicable to type 1 diabetes and holiday in general because from number 1, we've discussed you're eating lots of rich foods, you're maybe indulging a bit, and therefore the water kind of goes out the window. I find when I've eaten a big meal, the last thing I want to grab for is water because I'm so full that I can't possibly face water, which is going to make me more full. However, it's probably exactly the thing that I should be doing. Also, a common thing around the holidays is that you're drinking a lot. And drinking is known to cause dehydration. So you're out, you have a great night, fun is had by all, and then the next day, oh man. Now drinking is a whole other topic in and of itself, and it's not one that I'm going to cover in this video, but just to say, drinking does cause dehydration, and it creates these more stubborn high blood sugars because your circulation and the sugar within your blood, when there's less hydration there, it becomes more concentrated. So if you think about making like a simple sugar syrup on the stovetop, you put your sugar in and you put your water in and you boil it down and that liquid becomes more sweet. Same rules apply here. So when you're dehydrated, it tends to be that your sugars are going to run higher. Therefore, to counteract this, hydration, drinking water, herbal teas, really good quality, straightforward liquids is an excellent idea to keep those blood sugars more in line, and one that I'm certainly going to try to do over the holiday period. I have a couple of reusable water bottles I just plan on keeping with me, taking with me when I'm out and about. The other thing I want to do is start and end my day with a full glass of water. So a full glass of water in the morning on an empty stomach, nice glass of water in the evening when I'm about to go to bed. I think to bookend your day with hydration in this way is a really, really excellent way to kind of fit it in, but you're not forcing in hydration during a meal or something like that when you're really not going to want to have it. So it's not even a realistic goal to say, oh yeah, I'm going to drink like 8 glasses of water with my dinner. I don't even think that's probably advisable. But yeah, hydration. My third tip is when you're invited to holiday gatherings, bring dishes that you know the carbohydrate content of and you have confidence to bolus for them because you know how your blood sugar has reacted to them in the past. A lot of times when you're invited to holiday parties, people suggest, oh, could you bring this or could you bring that? So for me, I find it particularly useful, personally and selfishly, to bring a dessert because desserts are the most problematic course of a meal for me. They're more sugar laden, they're much higher in carbohydrate content, and they can be a bit tricky to bolus for. So I've adapted some recipes and continue to try to find more diabetic friendly recipes, and by that I don't mean sugar-free, I just mean less intense on the carbohydrate sort of punch. So maybe using almond flour rather than white flour for cookies or something like that. Anyways, I digress. This is not a cooking special, Andrea. So what I think this does is when it comes to eating at a party, which can already be problematic because many people are bringing dishes to pass, it's all delicious, but you might not know the carbohydrate content, and therefore it becomes one big old guessing game, which can be problematic and occasionally disastrous for us type 1s. So if you bring something that you know the carb content of and you have confidence to bolus for it, you're going to be more likely to stay on track, at least with that dish. And again, for me, I like the idea of making that dish a dessert because that's kind of the most problematic of all 3 courses. My fourth tip is a little bit of a common one, but stick with me. It's moderation. It's very common. It's a very vague umbrella term that a lot of people bandy about over the holiday season. However, I really believe this is key. Over many, many years of trying to figure out what works best for me, I've discovered these blowout days, these cheat days, they don't do me any favors mentally, emotionally, physically, and of course, blood sugar wise. It's easy during the holidays to feel like nothing counts. You're on vacation. It's Christmas. Indulge. There's really this, in some ways, societal pressure to indulge, and you're not truly celebrating if you're not. And for me, I think that is unhealthy. It also creates a real issue for type 1 diabetics. It can be incredibly hard for a diabetic to manage this feeling of, oh, just let loose, whatever, when you have a chronic illness that doesn't see that extra cookie or that extra drink as free. This is why I guess I've come to this point, this way of believing in myself that cheat days, indulgent days just don't work for me. So what I like to do is just moderately enjoy what's in front of me. So rather than putting a huge big scoop of whatever on my plate, I might just have like a quarter scoop, so that I can have a quarter scoop of lots and lots of things. And rather than having 3-4 cookies, I may just have 1, or I may ask my mom to split it with me. So I get to have those lovely flavors and I get to feed on those delicious, delicious treats, but at the same time, I'm feeding what's very important to me too, which is my health. This idea of moderation has created a really big bit of joy in my life, especially around the holiday season and around any celebratory activity, because no one's telling you you can't have these things, nor would I ever dream of saying that or inflicting that upon myself. But at the same time, I'm having this idea that I can have a bit of that, and that's great, and that makes me happy, that keeps my blood sugars happy, and this day is unlike any other, maybe just with a few more things, but it's not so unlike any other that I'm doubling, tripling my insulin dosages to cover this mania that I've been pulled into of like kind of crazy indulgent eating. So that one works for me. It may not work for you, and that's totally cool. Like I said, it's something that I've taken a lot of time to sort of filter down and realize this is what works best for me. But I thought maybe it's something that I could share with you guys, and maybe some of you might find it useful. And my fifth and final tip is to try to keep to your routine as much as possible. Oftentimes during the holiday season, routine kind of gets thrown out the window. Maybe you have some time off of work, so your daily schedule is very different. You're eating meals at different times of the day. Maybe you're meeting friends for drinks on a Tuesday when normally you would be at the gym on a Tuesday. If you're a really active person, around the holiday season, a lot of times that activity goes down because, again, you're socializing with people, and oftentimes socializing around food. And I know how many times can I talk about food, but it's so inextricably linked to the holiday season. So, for example, whenever I go home to see my parents, I tend to buy this 1 or 2 week gym pass to a local gym there so that I can still keep up with my routine. And I know if I carve out that space for myself, that 30 minutes, an hour a day to go and do that, to stretch, to meditate, to do whatever, I'm going to be in much better control of my blood sugars because my diabetes thrives off of that activity. My blood sugars are going to be more in line, and I'm more equipped to help out around the house and to want to participate in holiday activities because my sugars are more in line and I feel generally more awake and happier and healthier. And yeah, so there we have it. Those are my 5 tips, things I'm going to work on over this holiday season to hopefully improve my glycemic control throughout all the madness and chaos and mayhem and joy and happiness and frustration and all that stuff that comes with the holiday season. So I really hope you all are having a great festive season. And please, what are your tips for keeping good blood sugar control and staying on an even keel during the holiday season? I would be so interested to know. Pop them down below. Let's get a conversation going because I'd be really fascinated to know what you're thinking and what you're going to work on this holiday season, or tips you're going to employ for the holiday season to make it just that bit more doable. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you soon.